Okay, this will be Module 13, Polynomials. We're going to be going through the first of 3 sections in this video. Section 1 is just a quick introduction. We're going to combine like terms to start with. Each of these is a term. 5b to the 5th is a term. B squared is a term. 2b cubed is a term. Negative 2b to the 5th is a term. And negative 4b squared is a term. Anything separated by pluses and minuses we consider a term. It can be a number with a letter by itself. They're all terms. Okay, we find the things that are like, which is the 5b to the 5th and the 2b to the 5th. And we put the fronts together, the 5 and the minus 2. Okay, the b cubed, it's all by itself. Then you have a b squared here. There's a 1 of those and a 4b squared. So we take our 1b squared and our 4b squared, we're going to put those together. So when you're combining them, you get 5 minus 2, which is 3b to the 5th, your 2b to the 3rd, and then your 4 and 1 is 5b squared. You put them in numerical order going down, 5, then 3, then 2, going down the powers. Okay, suppose we arrange this in descending order. Again, 5 is a term, r squared is a term. These are all separate terms. There are 4 of them. Descending order, 6th is the biggest, so it'll be 4 to the 6th. And then 7r to the 3rd, r squared, and then 5 doesn't have a power. It's actually a 0 power, so it comes last. Okay, the parts of 7b to the 5th, the coefficient is the number in front, which would be the number 7. If there was a minus, it would be minus 7. In this case, it's positive, so it's just 7. The base is, in this case, b, because it has an exponent on it. Whatever has an exponent is called a base. And then the degree or the power or the exponent, those are all different terms for the same thing, 5. Okay, there are multiple types of polynomials. If there is only one term, it's called a monomial. In this case, 4x squared is a monomial because it has nothing after it, no plus, no minus, it's just all by itself. 4 times x squared. Binomial means you're going to have 2 pieces separated by a plus or minus. So 3xy plus, there's your separation, 4w. Trinomial means you're going to have 3 pieces, 2ab, and then 4w, and 5bc. Now, if it asks for a degree, if there's only one term, like this 4x squared, your degree is 2. But if there are multiple pieces, like a to the 3rd, b to the 5th, you combine these to get the degree of this monomial, or this term. We're going to add our power, so this has a degree of 8, because it's 5 and 3. Evaluate. We're plugging the number 2 into the x squared and into the x. So it's number 2 gets put into each of those x's, so it's 2, the coefficient, and then 2 squared, 3 times 2. Now the second 2 is all that gets squared, so that's 4 times 2 is 8, and 3 times 2 is 6, which makes 14. I'm going to put in a negative 3. That's 2, negative 3 squared, plus 3 times negative 3. Put those in parentheses, whatever's inside the parentheses here, put them over here where the x was. Negative 3 squared is positive 9, times 2 is 18. Negative 3 times positive 3 is negative 9. When you put those together, you get positive 9. Now, take these notes and use them as you take the post-test for section 1. And again, take it two times. I wouldn't take it more than twice. Do the best you can, and then move on to section 2. For section 2, this is adding and subtracting. Now, if they give them all in a row, I would take them and line them up. Like 3x minus 2y plus 5. They might put just plus, and then the next one, I would make them vertical because it's easier to add them. 3 plus 5 minus 4, negative 2 plus 8 and 3. If you'll line them up, it's much easier to combine them. So 3, 5 is 8 minus 4 is 4. Negative 2 plus 8 plus 3 is 9. 5 minus 7 plus 6 is 4. And again, you're just going straight down. Okay, if you subtract, and it looks like this horizontally, I would just do them vertical, and I would take this first one and write it down, and then this minus changes all of the ones on the inside. Make sure all of the second polynomial gets changed. So it's minus turns to plus 4, minus turns to minus 3y, and this minus goes with the 6 to make it minus 6. And again, I would make them vertical. I would copy the first one. You have a minus, so I would change all the second ones. So it's positive 4, negative 3, negative 6. Then when you're combining these, 4 and 3 make 7. 2 and 3, they're both negative, so it's negative 5. Negative 6 and 5 is negative 1. You just combine these, either adding or subtracting, depending on which, if it's plus or minus, and you keep the sign of the larger. Okay, suppose you have two functions. F plus g means you're going to combine them. You can do them vertically or horizontally. We're just going to combine them. We're going to add them. I did them vertically. I copied the first one. And then I'm going to combine it with the second one. I just copied the second one. 3 plus 2 minus 1. And then I combine them. X squared and 3x squared makes 4x squared. You take the fronts. Leave the backs alone. Negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Those are all x's. Negative 5 and negative 1 is negative 6. Okay, f minus g, I'm going to take my first one. I'm going to change my second one. I'm going to subtract means to change. Multiply by a negative. So I copy the first, x squared minus 3 minus 5. And then 3x squared becomes a minus, 2x becomes a minus, and 1 turns into a plus. When you combine these, it's negative 2x squared. Combine these, negative 5x. Combine these, negative 4. Now, take these notes. Utilize them as you're taking the post-test for section 2. And I would do that twice, and then I'd try to move on to the next section. Retaking them over and over and over again doesn't really seem to help. Come back to them later. The final section is section 3, product and power rules. Okay, if you have a product, you multiply the numbers and you add the powers. You multiply the coefficients, add the powers. So 4 times 3 is, in this case, negative 12, and 3 plus 5, so it's negative 12, x to the 8th. This would be negative 4, negative 4, negative 4, makes negative 64, and then 1 plus 1 makes negative 64x cubed. If there's parentheses, this 3 gets to the 1 power here, the 3 power, and the 5 power, so it's negative 2 to the third. X to the 3 times 3 is 9. Y to the 5 times 3 is 15, which is actually 2 cubed is 8, so it's negative 8. X to the 9th, y to the 15th. Okay, this 4th power gets multiplied. There's a 1 right here, so it's 3. 1 times 4, so it's 3 to the 4th. And 1 power times 4 is 5 to the 4th, which makes 81 over 625. So you're 81 over 625. Now, the last one, or that was the last one. So take these notes. There'll be a lot more of these than you've seen here, but the process is the same. Again, anytime you have powers that are sitting on parentheses, the number has a 1 power. You just distribute it 3 times 1, 3 times 3, 3 times 5. And then you take your calculator, type this in, make sure you have these parentheses, negative 2 parentheses, and then to the 3rd power. And then 3 to the 4th is 81, 5 to the 4th is 625. So that's how you do all those.